Yeah, it was great to see these videos from my hike in 2016 again, because I've dug them out now. I was thinking of hiking again the remainder of the Superior hiking trail now that it's 8 years later. I kind of forgot all the misery that I went through, but also great to see on the videos that I had a lot of fun time as well, no matter what. I drove up my car and decided to stay for the night at a national forest right on a gravel road somewhere deep in, kind of the distributed, dispersed camping, and it was pretty great. I took a bike along because my initial plan was to do section hikes at the later part of my hike, specifically around Duluth or closer to Duluth. So I would be dropping off the bike, driving to the trailhead, hiking down to the bike, and then ride my bike back to the car, or vice versa. Park at the end, ride the bike to the where I start hiking, stash the bike in the forest, lock it up, and then hike the trail, and then pick it up later again. So this parking spot was actually kind of interesting. I was there right on the path that is kind of a dead end. There was a lake further deep in there, and it was already in the evenings. Didn't see anybody really going in or out there, so I thought I was totally alone and decided not to pull off the path because my car was still hot from driving up to Minnesota to the Lake Superior, and there was the tall grass and didn't want to cause any fires. Not sure if that would have caused a fire or not. But I took the bike out because I had to sleep inside, and then climbed down, went into the car under the blankets and slept already. And later that night, when it was already dark, I heard the car and saw the lights coming up, and thought, oh man, I'm in the middle of the road. So I was trying to get up, pull on my pants and stuff, and at that point the truck driver of that pickup truck decided just to drive right around me and keep going. So that wasn't a big deal. So he just went through the grass there. I bet it was an interesting sight for him to see the car standing there with the bike in front of the car, just in the middle of the path. To get to the northernmost trailhead for the hike, I took Harriet's shuttle, and she was an awesome shuttle driver. She took me to the Palisade Head on the way there, and we took quite a long time to take the view. It was my first time at the Superior Lake Superior, and so that view was pretty awesome. And the Palisade Head is a crowded place, and a lot of people were there, so it wasn't easy for her to find a parking spot. So greatly appreciated. And the whole drive was really nice to talk to Harriet. She gave a lot of tips on things and just stories and so on. So that was great. This is a photo of Mike and me, and he was really a lifesaver, as I mentioned before. He not only provided the leukotape that helped me a lot, but also increased my spirits quite a bit. So because I met him, really that made a difference, that I was able to keep on going for so much longer. And so that was really a joy. And he had a lot of cool adventures too. So he was hiking the river to river trail and was planning on hiking the Ice Age trail. So he is a pretty cool guy. This next picture is of the loot that I got from Grand Marais. The moleskin, the tape, scissors, or the multi-tool with scissors, and that just to doctor up my feet and keep on going. I wasn't able to get a leukotape in Grand Marais, so I did end up ordering it from Amazon and have it shipped to Lützen. Along the way there are some really cool spots like this one, so it's really a nice place to hike. There are a few boring spots too, but that's okay. This sign here is kind of impressed me just because it represents the how I felt hauling all my gear. I felt like that truck hauling the stuff down this path. By the way, I don't know how a truck would be able to go down that single path there. This dam is pretty amazing. That is a beaver dam just naturally built, and that's a pretty big one and holding up quite a bit of water. These signs here are from the Superior Hiking Trail race. That was right next to Lützen. That was where the race is ending. After the hike, I did a reflection and wrote this blog post on how I felt. So you can definitely visit that site and get a more up-to-date right after the event how I was feeling about my hike and having to break off the first part. Then I also have again a description of the hike a little bit with pictures, and on the bottom some statistics of how long of a miles I had and also the GPS tracks. So this here is the GPS tracks of the whole trip that I was kind of pre-planning, and it has all kind of nice little sections and camp spots there. Definitely interesting to browse around. And on the second link I have the actual trip that I was hiking. So I started right up here at the northernmost spot, which is not quite on the border but pretty close to it, and hiked down here for the first day. At Jackson Creek Camp. Then the second day I went to the Hazel Camp. That was also where I met Mike the first time and got the band-aids, Luco tape for the first time to help me out. So in a way it was quite early on that my feet were getting worse and had problems. Then this is the third day, which is these walking along these rivers are pretty amazing. There's the Devil's Kettle where the video was, with the water rushing down and half of it goes into a hole and disappears to somewhere else. This section was right along the shoreline of Lake Superior Hiking Trail. There's gravel beach, and I was actually up with Mike. We paused there and I jumped into the water and washed off. That was really great and gorgeous. I really like being able to swim or just dip into the water during the trips and just get refreshed. So the next night we stayed at Druffrey Creek Camp, and then we decided to go down into Grand Marais. I really didn't need to get any supplies for food, and I ended up not getting any additional food for me. I had plenty of food in the pack. What I did go ahead and do there is get the band-aids and also purchase a pair of flip-flops. Just something to wear in the camp that aren't my hiking boots, and that was definitely worth it for the rest of the trip. And as you see here, the black line was we hitched the ride down into town and hiked out of town again. So the next night was at the South Valley Camp Creek. and then we went along Cascade River State Park, again a nice river to hike along. The other one awesome place was the East Lake Agnes camp. This campsite looked really cool. Unfortunately, the college has kind of a freshman trip during that time, and all the freshman classes of the college were out in small groups along the Superior hiking trail, and I was meeting them here and there, and they were camping out in order to get to know each other also. And so they pretty much took over this whole camp spot, and I didn't decide not to jump in, stay between them. Instead, find my quiet spot on this campsite up here, which is further away from the lake, up on the hill. Retrospect, maybe I should just have stayed with the kids there, because then I could jump into the lake. That was something that I really missed there. Anyway, the next day I went along the trail to Lützen. A couple days before, I did make an order on Amazon, and back then in 2016 Amazon did guarantee deliveries fairly good. They were always on time. Here they did announce that it was delayed one day because Lützen is like really off the beaten path for any postal service to get to. So I was expecting it initially to be already arrived at Lützen for me to pick up. That was the Luco tape that I purchased at Amazon. But I knew already beforehand, the day before, they notified me that it will be delayed. And so I still decided to have it, and I kind of hiked there. I also had their box of food sent to me that was already waiting there, so I picked up the box and just sat around until the delivery person was coming and delivering the Amazon package. That was not until late in the afternoon. So at this point, when I arrived at Lützen, there Mike was along and two other people, I forgot their name, that I hiked along with, and we all took a break there. But I decided to wait for the Luco tape because I really needed that, and Mike and the other ones continued on hiking. So that was the last time I saw any of them, because I just had to wait for way too many hours that I wouldn't catch up with them anymore, which was kind of a bummer in a way, because it was a lot of fun to hike with them. Lützen, that was also the place that was marked out for the race, the Superior Hiking Trail race that was going on. They came from the south and would end up in Lützen. I was there before the race, or the racers got to Lützen, so it was still pretty quiet. Out of Lützen I did take the gondola out, as you could see on the video, and then I hiked this ridge, which is pretty cool. And if we turn on the terrain, you see the mountains. Even before that, it's definitely not a flat area on there. But so I hiked down to Lützen, and I think it was this campsite. Yep, it was this campsite where I was sleeping, and at night I heard then somebody running by near the campsite on the trail with flashlights, and so that was the fastest racer were already coming through and running to Lützen. So there were a couple runners that night. Wasn't too bad, but definitely not a totally quiet night. So that next morning that I hiked down there, all my during the whole hike, I always encountered the people more or less. Sometimes they were separate, and then there were quite a few. This here is also another nice hike and steep going down. Again, another cool river and part. I forgot where it was when I found the last uh, runner. But it's kind of sad to see the trail people because they pretty much kind of had to give up because there are already people uh, picking up all the signage on the trail. Yeah, so this was actually on this stretch here that I encountered all the racers. So by the time I got to this campsite, the race was already done, and they were already tearing down things. Sugarloaf was the last campsite. I have the video with the wood benches around there. There is actually a small little swampy pond there, nothing that you want to swim in. And the whole time hiking was kind of okay. I could stand the pain of the blisters and my heels, but it was the stopping or in the morning getting back into the shoes that really made it miserable because of those blisters and hurting heels. And at that point in Sugarloaf, what happened is I couldn't find the scissors and stuff to tape up my feet and foot on the next morning, and I was just kind of so much down, and then just decided to uh, quit the hike. So I ended up this hiking out to the trail all the way here. I used the flip-flops that I had, the nicer fancier ones, just because I didn't have the Luco tape. I couldn't put the Luco tape on my foot, and yeah, I was just burned out at that point, I guess. And luckily down here I could wave down a lady in a pickup truck that was staying in a cabin and was heading back to Minneapolis, and I could convince her to give me a ride back to my car. So that was the end of the trip. As mentioned, I had supplies sent via post to Lützen and also to what's the other town called? Finland. Yes, it was Finland, right up there in the community center was my other box. So I never get to pick that up during my hike. I did drive by and pick it up, so it wouldn't be just lying there and people are wondering what the box was doing there. But yeah, that's the unfortunate thing, that my feet did hurt so much. I think if that wouldn't have hurt that much and I would have been in a different mood, I think going through and I would have hiked much further on it. As you guessed, I'm planning here the second part of my hike. So to do the remainder of the Superior hiking trail. It might be the whole thing, might be just a part of it. So I'm gonna be a little bit more flexible this time and put the expectation a little bit lower. So this is the stretch that I still have left to go from. So this is the part where I bail out. So the idea is to get a ride up to here or maybe even to the trailhead and start hiking in and stay overnight at one of those campsites, and then each color is kind of a separate day. They're all around 15 to, yeah, pretty much around 15, 16 something miles or so. So the idea is to hike through here. This time I will be just supplying at stores. So right here is a food market in Silver Bay that I could hike down to, and then hike all the way to Harbor, and probably resupply in Harbor again, and then keep on going along this trail all the way to Duluth. In Duluth here I highlighted the bus route. That's a city bus that actually goes quite a few times a day, so that's definitely a possibility to use as a shuttle in between places. I haven't figured out exactly how or where I stay in Duluth, and I'm not even sure that I will get all the way to Duluth. So again, leaving that up really into the air on how things will be working out. The trail along Duluth is apparently up in the bushes, but I did hear some reports that, especially around the city part, Eagle Park up there, that there are probably some homeless shelters in there as well. So it's always kind of iffy how to handle with that, because those group of people are kind of protective of themselves, because they don't know what other people are thinking either. So I'm trying to stay probably away from them. And then the later part of the trip goes really out into the nowhere area again, where there's really hard to get a bus connection, and I also heard that it's a little bit difficult to get an Uber ride or anything like that for logistics. So if I do get to go all the way down here, that is something to take in consideration. But to tell you the truth, I'm just happy if I can get all the way to 2 harbors, or maybe even some of that section there as well. So I'm gonna take it as it comes. Hope this time my shoes are better, because last time I wore some shoes, the Salomon shoes, that I actually used once in Arizona. A different pair was that, and they didn't work out very well for me either. So this time I have a different set of shoes that feel okay for the small hikes that I do around here. I haven't done too much training, so it will be again starting off from nothing, and I haven't done any big backpacking trips either lately, so especially for the mileages that I'm planning on and for the length. So the packing probably is a bit challenging as well. Anyway, thanks very much for watching the video here, the retrospective of and the plans for the next hike. And probably while you're watching this here, I might already be out on the trail and pushing some miles in. So see you at the next videos.